through, but a lot of good stuff to get through. So we will get started here. So welcome everyone. Today we are going through Online Leads 102, which I should have double checked my calendar to make sure that this is this week. But last week was 101, right? Annie, you were there last week, right? Okay. All right. Sometimes I swear I get mixed up with these sometimes. Um, Never made the mistake, but every time I freak out for a second before. This is the right class, right? Um, so last week, what we went through was leads basics in terms of getting set up in the platforms, kind of how to orient yourself to it. 102, we're going to be going through a lot deeper detail on strategy for actual lead conversion. So our goals for today, some of the things we're going to go through is first, knowing by the end of the day today how to book an appointment with a new lead, or could be an older lead that you talk to for the first time. Second, how to follow up with seasoned leads. Those are, I like to use the term seasoned lead instead of old lead because a lot of people, their buying time frame is 12 to 24 months. So if someone's been in your system for 10 months, they are well seasoned and ready to go. Third, prep steps before a first appointment. Super critical to nail that first appointment. And fourth, how to keep clients engaged and get them to start making an offer. At the end of the day, too, I want you to feel like you have some more tools in your tool belt to turn leads into clients, into appointments, into closing. And as always, at the end of the day, too, I want you to do one thing, which is leave here and actually apply some of the tips and tactics that we go through. So let's get into it. Question to everyone in the group. And before I jump into this, too, I just want to say, if you have questions, please throw them into the chat. You can take yourself off mute. The more of an open discussion this is, the more valuable it'll be for everyone. So how are online leads different than referrals, sphere of influence, repeat leads? What do you think are some of the big differences between the two, or the online leads and kind of everything else?
They're strangers.
They're strangers. Okay. And what kind of a difference does that make?
It means you have to establish like a relationship with them.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's probably the biggest thing. Any other ideas on differences too? All right, that's basically my list. But the biggest thing, number one on my list is, right, they're strangers. They don't know, like, and trust you yet. So understanding that if you're meeting for a buyer's consultation with, your cousin's friend from softball league, that's going to be a much warmer intro than someone that you just met off the internet. So you got to spend more time and really build into your process, getting them to know, like, and trust you. The second thing too, and this especially applies with new leads. This is less the case with someone that you re-engaged after, they made an inquiry 6 months or 12 months ago or whatever, but is really this Amazon mindset, right? Someone is in front of a computer. They went on realtor.com. They asked for a tour of a property. You got them through OpCity. They're in this like buy it now mindset. They want to go out and they want to see that home. And so you have to be the one to deliver what they want in that moment. They don't want to go and talk to a lender. They don't want to do a buyer's consultation. A lot of the times they don't even want to chat for very long. They want to get out and see the home. So getting them what they want, and then in that process, getting what we want out of it as well is really critical. And so ultimately what that means is putting up fewer barriers, because if we don't deliver it, they're just going to go back online and find someone who will. But at the end of the day, they're all people who want to buy or sell a home. And that's a really important assumption to have in your mind, is that they are assuming that they want to buy or sell a home. They're good people, and they have good, honest intentions, just like anyone from any other potential lead source as well. All right, so you got set up on OpCity. You want an online lead. You got that call. Now what do you do? All right, so a couple things before you even get into booking the appointment and following up and doing all of that. There's a few mindset pieces to really have nailed down so that you have the proper expectations and you approach these clients in a way that's going to make you more successful. First, persistence. It takes a lot of work to convert leads into closings. If you catch someone on the first try and book that appointment, that's fantastic. On average, if you don't get that connection on the first time, it takes about 15 to 17 outreach attempts to get that to get them to get connected with them again. Okay, so what that really means is when you get any leads from any sources, you have to follow up, calls, texts, emails over days, weeks, months, sometimes even years. I had a closing just a couple months ago from a Zillow lead that inquired with me, and we started looking in January of 2020. So it took 28 months to close the sale with this guy, but it was follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Second is that a 10% close rate with leads from the highest quality online lead sources is excellent, right? Zillow is kind of the gold standard for high quality lead sources. Redfin as well, followed shortly by Realtor and Opcity. If you are at a 10% close rate with any of those lead sources, you're going to be at the top of the industry. But that means if you flip it the other way, you're at a 90% fail rate, right? But don't look at it that way. Right, a 10% success rate is really, really good. And just know going into it that probably 1 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or even 19 out of 20 people that you talk to, sorry, 9 out of 10 or 19 out of 20 are ultimately not going to buy or sell a house with you. Right? And that's just the reality of the situation. Most people that you get from online lead sources are not going to buy or sell a house with you. That means, though, still that you got to kind of chase them down to the bitter end. You're going to show people homes. You're going to build a good relationship. Sometimes you'll even get in contract with them, but they won't follow through all the way to the end. Right. So just knowing that going in 10%, 5 to 10%, I'm doing really well if I got a 5 to 10% close rate. Okay. Third, how many of you have heard the term buyers are liars? Any of you heard that phrase before? All right. If you haven't, good. Never let it enter your vocabulary. Never let it into your mindset. That whenever I hear people say that, it drives me nuts. Buyers aren't liars. They're humans, right? They don't quite know what they want. Part of our job to help them understand what they want, to help guide them through the process so that they can figure out what they like and they don't like. How often do you change your mind during the course of a day on mundane decisions, right? I do it all the time. On big, important ones, of course they're going to change their mind. Of course they're going to tell you something in the beginning, and that turns out to not be the case necessarily a couple weeks down the line or months down the line. So they're people. They're going to change their minds. Things are going to shift. They're not lying to you. They're not trying to trick you. They're just humans. Fourth, we are here to solve problems, not cash checks. Right? We have the opportunity as realtors to make doctor and lawyer money, right? But what that means is we got to do the hard work. So the expectation with online leads and really any lead from any source is not that people are going to come through, they're going to find a house, they're going to be pre-approved, they're going to go out, they're going to be really nice and shiny, and you're going to write offers and they're going to get accepted and get closings, and it's just going to be a money funnel, right? You got to put in work. And a big part of how you leverage and use these to the fullest is that you get in to solve problems, right? Know that there are going to be problems. There's going to be barriers. People aren't going to be able to get financing. They're going to have some issue that they need to overcome. It's our job to help them overcome it. Know that that's not just like a side effect, but that is the job. And then fifth, always make the ask, right? Just have that mindset. At the end of the day, this is a sales position. So you have to always ask for the sale, even if it's not, do you want to buy the home? Asking for the next step, booking the next appointment, booking the tour, booking the buyer's consultation, asking if they do want to make an offer on it, asking them if they want to increase their offer price. But know that the ball is always in our court to advance the relationship forward. So let's get into the 3 phases of lead conversion. We'll go through booking the appointment, we'll go through the first appointment, and then we'll go to closing the deal, which is basically after the first appointment, the days, weeks, months, and sometimes years to getting them to actually write it off. Before I jump into that, any questions on what we've gone through? Thumbs up. All right, cool. All right. So let's hit on booking the appointment first. A number that I want you to keep in your mind, because this will inform everything about how you approach appointment setting with newly generated leads. 80%. 80% of people will work with the first realtor that they meet in person. 80% of buyers and sellers, I think actually it's a little bit lower with sellers, but 80% of buyers will work with the first person that they meet in person. So our goal when you get a new lead, any source, is to get face-to-face with them. Show them a home, do a buyer's consultation, grab coffee to meet, greet, whatever. But the most important thing is that you get face-to-face with them, and not that you do intensive vetting, not that you get them to a lender or try to get them pre-approved or say, well, it's, I'll send you some homes and I'm going to vet you. I'm going to vet you. I'm going to vet you. Get face to face. That is by far the most important thing. So the scripting to use, and this is just a general guideline, so you don't have to do it exactly like this, but these three questions are going to help increase your appointment setting rate. And that is asking about appointment, location, and motivation. You can still ask a variety of other questions as you're going through, but making sure on every initial call, when you're talking with a new connection, you are asking for the appointment, you're finding out about what locations they're interested in, and you're finding out what motivated them to look for homes. So scripting as an example. Um, Annie, since you got your camera on, would you mind being my client here and role playing with me for a sec?
Sure.
Okay, so you can just kind of wing it. Pretend you're a buyer. You just made an inquiry on Realtor.com. I got your connection through Op City. We'll just go from there. You can make it relatively easy or hard, whatever, but you don't got to make it too complicated if you don't want to. So,
Okay.
hey Annie, this is Dan, Team Fast, EXP Realty. So I just got your inquiry from Realtor.com about 123 Main Street. That's a really great property. What time do you want to go out and see it?
I'm still thinking about it. Maybe tomorrow after 4 p.m. after I get off work.
Okay. Okay. Well, why don't we say like 4:30 just to kind of give you some time to get home and decompress a bit? Would that work for you?
Let me check with my husband first, and then can I get back to you later?
Okay, so well, that's totally fine. I understand. I'm just out of curiosity. What was it about this house that you liked?
I really like the location. I want to grow my family, looking to have kids, so it's in a good school district, but I'm not I just really like seeing new homes.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's, honestly a lot of clients that I work with are in sort of a similar position where it's like big life transition and you're starting to think about putting down roots, getting into a specific community, especially schools. I know you're looking in the Elk Grove area here. Super great neighborhood. I have a lot of clients that have bought in Elk Grove and been really happy. So you're making a good choice in that location too. Was there anything specific that like motivated you to reach out about this particular home, like the layout, the lighting, anything like that?
Yeah, I like how it's, cosmetically updated. I really don't like working on fixer upper. I like to just have it move in ready and then I
Got it.
can settle in right away.
Got it. Got it. And now, are there any other homes that you've had your eye on too?
I have on two, but it's out of my price range.
Got it. Okay. Because what we can do as well is when you talk with your husband and we nail down a specific time for tomorrow, we can actually go out and see as many homes as you want. We can see this one, but we can also go out and check out a couple others as well. Since we'll be out there, we can make the best use of your time, and especially too, so you can kind of get familiarized with the different neighborhoods and or the areas, and then just kind of fun to see multiple properties. So. Um, what I can do too is dig around and see what other homes are available right now. There's actually a couple that I think we might be able to get into tomorrow as well. And that way we can see, two or three while we're out there. Would you be open to that?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So when would be a good time for me to touch base again to uh, to get a time nailed down for tomorrow?
Um, Maybe in early in the morning. I'll talk to my husband tonight.
Okay. Do you want to maybe pencil in like 5 o'clock just so I have the time blocked off and my schedule and don't book anything else over it and can that way, if things change for you guys, no big deal, but at least we got the time set aside.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, cool. All right, so we can end there and wrap up. You're tough. You're not letting me book that appointment. Um, which is real. That's that happens all the time for sure. Um, but I think the important thing on there was, well, actually, before I debrief on my own thing, thoughts from you or from anyone else that was listening in.
I feel like there's a lot of hesitation from like the client side that I hear a lot, and
Hmm.
that's the reason why I guess I try to push it because I know you can handle it, and I wanted to hear what kind of response you would give to someone who is interested in seeing a home but not very sure to, whether or not she wants to move into the neighborhood and, she's just kind of like on the borderline and doesn't want to set up that appointment yet. Always having to check in with their significant other. So those are some like the things that I've
Mhm.
asked from people who want to buy things, but oh, let me check with my partner on the time, the schedule, stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
why there. Sorry, didn't want
No,
it
that's
to.
okay. That's no, it's perfect. I think it was really valuable. Anyone have any thoughts? How did I do in soothing the uncertainties of our buyer here?
I thought you did really good. I like the when she said she has to talk to her husband first. You kind of like, okay, you took that into consideration, and then you kept asking more probing questions, um, to kind of like get their mindset back on the house. And then at the end, I like how you just still set a tentative appointment. Um, that way, you kind of still get the appointment and kind of get sort of their commitment, but not, better than not getting no commitment at all.
Hmm.
And then that way, you can still follow up on that um, the next day when the appointment comes up. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Like I want I want something. I want to leave with like, all right, tentatively at the very least we can do this. And then two, um, she gave me a no initially. Some people are good at like, really pushing, charging past that and like, I don't know, pushing on the issue. I'm more a fan of like, she said that she needed to talk with her husband. All right, cool. I get it. Pull back a little bit, pivot, and talk about what did you like about this home? Why are you trying to buy? The location and motivation questions, right? And really getting into that. One, it's valuable information, but then two, that helps build relationship, which might make them more comfortable booking the appointment later. Because a lot of people, as we'll talk about in a second here, they're nervous. You're a stranger, you're a random person from the internet. So, like, you made an inquiry, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, stranger wants to go and meet me at an empty house. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This doesn't seem like a good idea anymore. So making sure you're hitting on that relationship piece. Um, okay, let's go through a couple quick knowledge checks here in the chat. Go ahead and drop your responses here. But you talked to a lead who asked about touring a specific property. They sounded pretty unsure about the process. They hadn't been approved for a loan yet. What should be your next steps? A, try to connect them with a lender and give them your info for them to call you back. B, set an appointment with your lender to get them approved. C, set an appointment to meet them for a buyer's consult. D, set an appointment for them to tour that specific property. What do you think? In the chat, just go ahead and drop your responses there. All right. Sana, David, what do we think? If you're able to, in a place to chat, type in, or you can just
Hi.
jump off the mic.
Hi. Sorry, I was driving and then I was I'm in a I was driving then I'm in a meeting at Hayward office also. Sorry.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So you can tune in on audio. Um, so I put the answer on this as D, right? Prioritize D first, get them out to the property. Again, we don't want to put up barriers. Probably, I don't know, 75% of the clients that I ultimately close with come in not pre-approved. And they come in unsure and not knowing about the process. That's their job. That's the whole thing that we get paid for, right? Is to guide them through the process and to help them out. We want to get face to face with them. And the best way to do that is to get them out to the property that they specifically inquired on so they can start getting excited about the process. Okay, you get a new lead, you book an appointment, but while on the phone, you notice that the property is already pending. What should you do? Suggest a time. I suggest you keep the booked time and find some other options while on the phone. B, make sure they have your contact information so that they can call you when they find another home that they're interested in. C, get their criteria and tell them that you'll follow up with other options. Or D, don't tell them and keep the appointment and just tell them when you're at the house. What do we think? Okay. All right, cool. A, yeah, that's what I would say too, is A. Keep the book time. You already booked an appointment. And especially too, if you're talking on the phone, you lock the time in. All right, cool. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock after work, we can do that. And then you immediately notice that the property is pending. Make sure that you go through location and motivation and rapport building. And then at the very, very end, say, oh, I just noticed that this is pending. Or even better yet, still, let them know, I'm just going to confirm with the sellers that this time works, let you know if there's any issues. I'll follow up and give you another call back if the sellers have any issues. And then on the second call, after you've had a chance to find alternative properties, say, hey, this property's pending. Good news, though, is that there's 2 other homes we can actually take a look at. Why don't we just keep our appointment for tomorrow at 5 o'clock and we can see some others? Or find out if they're accepting backup offers and still show that home. D, a lot of people suggest D. Don't tell them, keep the appointment, show up, and just act surprised when you get there that it's pending. I've seen that get egg on people's face more often than not. So I'm not a huge fan of just not telling them and showing up and running the appointment. But don't lose the appointment time. That's the important thing. Okay. Jace connects with a new buyer. They immediately ask what time the buyer wants to see the home, and the buyer confirms for 5 o'clock today. Jace then says that they will call the sellers right away, get back to the buyer and confirm the appointment, and then ends the call. What could Jace have done different? What did Jace miss on this? A, ask questions about location and motivation. B, confirmed if the buyer is pre-approved. C, checked whether the buyer is already working with a realtor and just wants the door opened. Or D, start with a warmer intro rather than just jumping straight into the appointment. What do we think? Yeah, you got it. Asking about location and motivation. It's good to book the appointment. Very important to book the appointment. In fact, probably the most important thing. But you don't want to just make it so procedural that they get off the phone and they say, wait a second, did I just book an appointment with a complete stranger that I know nothing about and I feel very uneasy and have no relationship with to go into an empty home? I don't think I'm going to show up. This was weird, right? Build the relationship so that they feel comfortable enough with you to actually follow through on the appointment. Okay, second phase, the actual appointment, landing that first appointment that you spent all of this time and energy booking. So question for all of you, what is your goal at a first showing appointment? What is your goal? Go ahead and jump off mute if you want to just throw out, freeform this. What are we trying to accomplish on the first showing?
Building rapport with them, a relationship, trying to turn them into a warmer lead.
Yes.
Building trust with them so that they're more inclined to want to see other homes with you.
Yes. Yes. Johnny, did you have anything else?
Literally everything that Andy said.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And Sonny, you said get them to meet face to face. And so the goal of doing that face to face is exactly that, to build relationship and to earn a client, to get enough trust that they feel like they can work with you. The goal is not to sell them that first home. And I know this might seem like kind of a silly thing to have to say, but very often people think that, oh my gosh, I went out and I showed this house and they weren't interested in it. Like, oh man, they didn't want to buy this home. All right, I guess I'll find another client. You're not going to sell that first home. 5% of the time you will. I've had that happen several times where we went out, we saw one home, we wrote it off, we got in contract and closed. That's fantastic. That's awesome. That happens like 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20 times. So expect they're not going to buy that first home. Doesn't happen very often. All right, so the first showing, a couple mindset items before you even go out into the field or before you even start prepping. First, know and understand that this might be their first time ever touring a home. Second, that you are a stranger from the internet that they just booked a tour with. Okay. Third, they probably know nothing about the process or what your job is. And fourth, they are nice, friendly people who want to buy a home, right? As you're thinking through this whole process, think about where they're at in this journey and assume that these are the things. They're going to need instruction because they've never done this before. And they're going to be looking to you for that instruction. If they book tours with multiple realtors or they, try to negotiate commission with you or do any of these things that we think of as kind of faux pas type stuff, they probably don't know better, right? This is their first time. They have no idea. They don't know what your job is. They don't know what our role is. It's our role to explain this to us and build the trust and build the relationship. All right, prep steps. Open question to all of you. Before you go out to an appointment in the, 24 hours to 30 minutes before an appointment, what do you do to prepare? How do you get ready? What do you come prepared with for an actual showing appointment? The first showing appointment.
I think the first thing is, for me, I feel like it's important to actually know the home well enough. understand the neighborhood. Since, the first initial call, I asked for what's their motivation to seeing this home, then I kind of go into researching more on that. For example, if it's about school district, I can go into looking more like, oh, what are the school around this neighborhood or this zip code? And then see potential like other homes that are sold within like the last 30 days and give them that comp. So coming in with as much data, knowledge on specific home that they want, that's how I would prep it.
Yeah, right. Do your homework. Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? What other prep steps? Johnny, Sana, David, any other steps that you'd take leading up to your first showing appointment?
I mean, again, Annie kind of nailed it on the head. But yeah, like I would just say, like, yeah, previewing the property, previewing the neighborhood, and then yeah, just getting all the data on, doing CMA and just learning all about properties around them. But yeah, pretty much, and that whatever Annie said.
Cool. Sana, I saw you come off video. Did you have a contribution?
Yeah, so yeah, I would just like ask the same questions, and then I'll try to gauge about their personal status, like are they married, do they have kids,
Well, in
on the
thinking
call.
thinking even before you get face to face with them, what are you doing to make sure that when you show up to the front door of that house and they get out of their car, you are as prepared as possible?
Yeah, then just knowing about the neighborhood, and that is, I think, the key to impress them that what you're doing.
Yeah. All right. So
CMA, and yeah, and the buyer's consultation, the folder basically with all the data.
yeah. And so you're saying bring physical printouts of some of the data as
Yeah,
well.
yes. That
Good.
is what I learned from the meetup last week, this week when we met, that we should have a folder with all the data, with all the papers in it,
Hmm.
to show them or to share with them.
Yes. Okay. So let me give you my answers here for the things. These are the things that I personally do for all of my first showing appointments as well. Uh, first and most, well, maybe not most important thing, but very important thing is bring backup properties. Make sure that you have researched similar homes within a 10-minute drive that are vacant, go show, and you've got those printed out ready to go. Because half the time when you're going out, you're running an appointment, even if they say, no, this is the only home we're interested in, they're out, they're seeing homes, they're interested, they're having fun. And then you say, hey, there's actually another home just 5 minutes away from here that's kind of similar to this one. Do you want to go and take a look? Half the time they'll say yes. I actually ran a first showing appointment like a week or two ago for someone that was like, this was like the fifth home that she'd bought or something. So a really experienced buyer. And she told me this was the only home she was interested in, but I found a vacant property nearby. And after the first showing appointment, I was like, hey, I actually found another home that we could get into after this. Like, are you interested? You want to go and check it out? And she was like, oh, all right. You did your research. I like it. Right. So like you're impressing this high price point, very experienced buyer by doing that. Always, 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 always bring backup properties. Do your homework. Number two, like we all said, I won't hit that one too much more, but make sure you know the property and you've researched schools and all the neighborhood and all that stuff. Third, set an appointment in Follow Up Boss. Use the appointment setting feature in Follow Up Boss because it'll send a calendar appointment to them and it'll send auto text reminders to them as well, which are very helpful in making sure you don't get no-showed. Fourth, send your high note presentation, or at the very least, a text of your business card with your license number, your name, to help build confidence for them in you, right? So you're doing that follow up. Hey, looking forward to meeting tomorrow. Here's some materials that you can go over in advance. It's my high note presentation. It's got my Zillow reviews, some home buying information, some videos that I've recorded about the home buying process, and a couple other resources for you. Fifth, comps and talk to the listing agent. Make sure you call the listing agent before, find out if there's anything interesting to know about the home. We had a property, this was several years ago, but honestly, at this point, I don't remember if I learned about this or not beforehand, but when we went and toured the property, there was a full-on well in the middle of one of the rooms, like, uh, old styles, like a house from the early 1900s. There was just a well in the middle of the room. And it was like, what on earth is this doing here? It was so weird. And that's the sort of stuff that you just want to know about because that was not on the MLS. And then last, bring out print materials, have physical takeaways for them. So what I always do is print out the MLS pages for the client showing pages for them for all the homes that you're going to tour. Have any of your home buying guides. I personally, I put together a set of real estate terminology, a printed bio of myself, and then some like home buying walkthroughs that are put out. I can Breakthrough Broker. You can find these like one pagers of like the home buying process in one page, something like that, but just something so they have a tangible takeaway. Hand it to them at the first appointment, and then they've got all your stuff and your branding and everything. Okay, so you've done your prep, you got all your stuff ready. Now you actually get to the house. What do you do during the appointment to make sure that you nail it and you're out in the field? First impressions. Make sure that you nail the first impression. Greet them, smile, shake their hand, bow, elbow bump, whatever it is. Do it with confidence, do it with an easy manner, and make sure that you're smiling and just making it a very, very friendly situation. Even if they, walk out of the car and are, on their phone. Like I had the other day, a client who came out of the car and was on the phone call. He was on a phone call with someone else. And I was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, hey. I walked up to the front door. I was like, all right, we got a cold one. I'm gonna have to work on him. But you keep your friendliness and excitement level. And eventually he warmed up to it and stopped being so rude. But it's on me to, bring the level up. Focus on relationship and not so much the property. What I mean by that is when you're out there, you don't want to be pushing and selling the home too hard, right? Oh, the sellers are considering offers tomorrow. Are you pre-approved? Like, are you working with another realtor? Like any of those are like really hard vetting questions. Instead, what I like to do when touring the home is kind of using the tour as a way of teeing up questions to be able to ask them. We're going into the kitchen and it's like, oh, what do you think of this kitchen? How's this floor plan feel for you? Okay, cool. How like, in your house right now, how do you guys usually use the kitchen? Do you have like family gatherings? Oh, you got a big family? Oh my gosh, me too. My dad's got 8 siblings, so we're always, big family stuff. What about the yard? Is this big enough for you? Oh, okay, cool. What do you usually do with the yard? Gardening? Oh my gosh, what do you grow? I might have to get tips from you because I kill everything that I touch. So, you might have to give me some gardening tips, right? That sort of stuff is how you, as you're flowing through the house, want to use it to build relationship. But number 4, still share information about the house. You did all your research, you learned about the neighborhood, you learned about schools, you learned about comps, you talked to the listing agent to find out that they're motivated and they're willing to accept an offer under asking price. Share that info as you're going through as well, but don't just like information blast on them. 5th, make sure you do the sales thing. Ask at the end of every tour if they're interested in the house. And the way to make that not awkward is just start off when you're meeting them for the first time and tell them that you're going to do that. Just let them know, hey, we're going to be touring the home. Just so you know, you can go through, you can take photos, take videos, whatever you need. I'll be around. I'll share some information for you. I'm not going to tell you what a bathroom is and what a kitchen is. So, kind of feel free. Also, so when we finish up touring each of these homes, I'm just going to get a little gauge check with you to see how you feel about the house. I'll just ask if it feels like a yes or a no or maybe. I'm not trying to push the house on you. I just kind of want to make sure that I'm in alignment with your expectations of it. And then at the end, hey, how did the house feel? Scale from 1 to 10. What'd you think about it? Okay, it's an 8. That kind of feels to me like you might want to make an offer. Is that right? Right. So make sure that you're asking at the end of every showing while you're in the house. And then at the end of the first showing appointment, end with a firm next step. So our next best step is, we'll go through that in a second. So now after the appointment, key steps to follow after you've concluded the appointment. Send a follow-up text or email within 24 hours, but really as soon as possible. Hey, it was so great meeting you and the kids. I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z for you. Keep an eye out for my email. Looking forward to meeting again next week and to tour more homes. That's something, some little wrap up to have a sense of conclusion to it and to give them next steps. Complete any promised items within 24 hours. If you told them you were going to get comps, if you told them you're going to call the listing agent to find out about offers, if you told them you were going to find some other properties to go and tour, you're going to get disclosures, whatever it is, do that ASAP, right? This is a job interview. Think about how much time and energy you would put into a listing appointment. You should be doing the same thing with a buyer's appointment, right? This is an interview, so we want to be prompt, we want to be timely, we want to be professional in everything that we're doing. Third, send them your high note presentation if you haven't done that already. And then fourth, make sure you've got a firm next step in mind for what is going to happen next. And you've agreed to that with the client. Maybe it's a Zoom or an in-person meeting for a buyer's consultation. Maybe you're going to meet with them to discuss disclosures for the home or comps, or you're going to sit down to go through the offer writing process. Maybe it's a date booked. They didn't like the homes, but you said, you know what? Are you usually open on Saturdays? Why don't we do this? Let's book next Saturday at the same time. In the next week, we can find 3 or 5 homes that you're interested in, and we can just go out and keep touring. Does that work for you? Cool. All right, I got you on my calendar for Saturday, and throughout the week, let's just go back and forth and find some homes for us. Could be a lender appointment. Whatever it is, though, you've got a firm next step. They've agreed to it, you've agreed to it, and everyone knows what's going next. All right. Questions on the appointment stuff. I know I went through a lot there. This session's also recorded, so you can kind of redigest this, and these slides are posted in the Slack channel, in the Opcity Ojo Slack channel. But questions on the showing process? Yes.
Sorry, Dan, I stepped away for a little bit, but what was the high note again?
A high note presentation, if you don't have that set up, is basically like a mini landing page where you can put links to a variety of different things. So like, let me see, I'll show you mine real quick. Let me see if I can pull this up. So like, whenever I finish up an appointment, I always send this email to people, and that includes my high note. I've also got like a home buying hour-long webinar, and then a bunch of YouTube videos on the home buying process. But then the high note here basically contains all of that in one. And you can also see when someone opens up a high note presentation. So, you know, it's got me, it's got the buyer's presentation, some videos that I've recorded, sample contract, you know, handouts, my reviews on Zillow, Team Fast page, all of that sort of stuff. So it's basically like a resume. It's like a standalone web page resume. Team Fast has an account for it. So if you don't have that set up, I'd definitely recommend doing it because it's pretty nice sales tool. Okay, let me bring us back up here. Any other questions? That was a good one. Cool. All right, keep rolling through here. Let's do some knowledge checks first, though. Lisa books an appointment with a client. Good job, Lisa. To prep, she prints out her MLS. She researched comps. She set a calendar appointment and sent her high note presentation. What else could Lisa have done to prep for her appointment? What do we think? What else could Lisa do to prep for her appointment?
She could have sent her business card.
Could have sent her business card. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I actually edited my business card. It's not the one that's physical, but I have a digital copy that I send to everyone that I actually put my photo on. And I'll always say, you know, here's my business card, so you know to like know how to recognize me when we actually get out and meet in person. And so I just like went into, I don't know, I forget what program I used, but just edited it, and that's always nice. What else? Just one. It was the number one thing on the list. What if you end the showing and the client's like, "Oh, that was fun. What else you got?"
A list of similar homes in the neighborhood.
Backup properties, yes, that are vacant. Go show. You don't got to make an appointment for, and you can just pop into if you need right at the end of the appointment. Absolutely. And then the last thing I would recommend too is that Lisa should have also called the listing agent, found out details about the home, started to build that relationship with the listing agent early. All right, Shane tours one property with a new client. He completed all the prep steps and felt like the tour went well. Client said that they weren't that interested in the specific property and that they are first-time buyers just getting started in the process. What should Shane do next? Call the client later that day with comps for that home. B, send them the contact information for his lender. C, work on setting up another time to tour more homes. Or D, scheduling a time for a buyer's consultation. What do we think? What would be our next best step here? Okay. All right. Yeah, we got some D's, and I would agree. The buyer's consultation makes sense as the next best step. I think C would be an okay step, but really for someone who's first time buyers, just getting in this started in the process, really new to it, buyer's consultation is a great way. Sit down face to face with them, build relationship, build trust. I think that would be the best next step. All right, Kenny tours a home with a new client and that he does not know very well. During the tour, they say several times that this is the one for one of the homes. During during Kenny's conversation, the client said that they have bought homes before and are already approved. Should he book a buyer's consultation? A, no, the client is experienced and they won't get value from it. B, no, you should focus on the property and the sale in front of you. C, yes, you should make everyone do a buyer's consultation. Or D, yes, and you can integrate it into a contract/disclosures review. What do we think?
C.
Okay, C. Got some people saying D here. Right. Yeah, I would say in this situation, I would lean towards D. You could do C. Honestly, I've had some buyers who I've not done full formal buyers consultations with because they're just, like, yeah, I bought a home 2 years ago. They're very like, what is it, high D, type A type personality people. And sometimes you honestly just got to kind of roll with the waves. But if you can't get that buyer's consultation, making sure that you're going through the information while doing a disclosures review or while reviewing a purchase contract to write an offer for them so that you're still going through the information, but not necessarily doing it as a deep sit down. So you should do the contents of a buyer's consultation, but also if the client's like pushing back really hard on it, you don't absolutely have to do it, but you got to get the discussion in another way, if that makes sense. Okay. Elias shows a client a property, and while the client was a bit hard to read, they said that the home wasn't off the table. They said they had bought a couple homes in the past, were just getting started out this time around. What should Elias's next best step be? A, call the client later that day with comps for that specific home. B, send them the contact information for your lender. C, work on setting up another time to tour more homes. Or D, scheduling a time for a buyer's consultation. This one's a little bit ambiguous, but a lot of our work is ambiguous. So what would you do next here? Okay, got a spread of answers here. B, C. I would actually do A, right? If they're saying that there was a house that you toured that they were really interested in, ending the appointment with a firm next step. That was one issue that we've got here is that Elias didn't end this with a firm, hard next step of what we're going to do. But I would probably, as a next step, tell the client, but it sounds like this house is something that's of interest to you. Why don't we do this? I'm going to do some research on it, find comparables, talk to the listing agent, and I'll call you back this afternoon around like 4 or 5 o'clock and go through that. Does that work for you? Right. And then call back and then book the buyer's consultation or the kind of next appointment step. But it's also important to not lose too much sight of a sale that might be in front of you and try to, kind of push them through the process. If someone says like, oh, this one's interesting, I like this one, I think this could be an option, still make sure that you're pursuing the sale. Okay, let's get to the last phase, which is closing the deal. So you've booked the appointment, you've met with the client, they didn't want to buy that specific home. Maybe you've even done a buyer's consultation or not, but they've entered your nurture process. And now you get to do the fun, long slog to getting them to the closing table. This is not a specific question on here, but how long do you think, on average, it takes people from online lead sources from the time that they do their first appointment, first tour, until they're actually in contract on a home? What do you think is the average time frame for that? Sana says 1 year. What do you think? Annie, Johnny, my boy. Am I saying that right? You boy? 30 days, 3 to 6 months. We got a full spread here. It's it's about 4 to 8 months with a pretty significant chunk, like 30% or so being above a year. So there's definitely going to be a chunk of people who are going to buy within, a month or two. The vast majority of people are going to be a long and medium term follow-up, 4 to 8 months to 12 plus months. So what that means is, yeah, I was hoping Annie is right as well. You'll get them sometimes, but if you want that 10% closing rate, be prepared that the majority of your deals are going to come from, oh, that looks like painful cat clawing right there. Uh, the majority of your deals are going to come from this long-term follow-up. So it's super, super important to have a strong follow-up game. When is the best time to have them sign a buyer's agreement? Oh, never. I have never in my entire career had anyone sign a buyer's agreement ever. Totally personal preference. I have never used it. I've had, I mean, personally close to 100 sales. And from the team that I was running before, you were like close to 1,000. But I've had maybe can count on one or two hands the number of times when it would have come in handy. And I think it pushes people away more than it does keep them. So uh, does it even offer you any protection, or is it all mental for the buyer? I think it's mostly mental for the buyer, because if a buyer, well, yes and no. I mean, it does offer you legitimate protection, right? If they go out and tour homes with another broker, um, they you can call that other person and say, hey, we have a buyer broker agreement, back off, and they have to. So uh Redfin makes, it's personal preference. So I know a lot of people use them. Um, what I do, and I would recommend all of you do though, is still have a conversation with the client about commitment. I always, during the buyer's consultation, ask the question for every single client every time: do you understand my role as a buyer's agent and how I get compensated in this process? Everyone always says, no, not really. Would you mind going through that again? And then I tell them about, it's not a cost that you pay specifically as a closing cost. You don't kind of tip me at the end of these showings. It's not a check that you got to write at any point. The seller pays directly out of it. But what that means is, I only get paid for my time when you buy a house using my services. So you're in the early phases. It's totally okay to interview multiple realtors. I would encourage that actually. I hope it's me. I'm pretty confident it will be. But if it's not, it's no problem, no harm, no foul. But what I ask is that, one, you let me know so I know how to spend my time, and two, at some point in the near future, you make a commitment to working with just one person. Does that sound fair? And everyone's always like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then the few times when someone hasn't decided to work with me, they've told me, just be like, hey Dan, sorry, we're gonna go with my cousin. Okay, no problem. I appreciate you letting me know. So anyway, long answer to that, but I actually use I'm not going to have you sign anything. My philosophy is that I want to be working hard enough for you that I don't got to lock you in with a contract, and just use that as a point of differentiation for people. So anyway, that's a tangent. You can do whatever you like, but I don't like having them sign those. Okay. Mindset from appointments to offers. So first thing, this could take weeks, months, or even years. It is their time frame, not ours. And very often home buying is not their number one priority. They have lives, they have families, they have kids, they have hobbies, they have other things going on. Buying a home might be our number one priority for them, but very, very often it is not their number one priority. Third, you are there to bring value. You're not there to just call in a follow up. You are there to continually add value to them so that they want to answer your calls, that they want to be working with you. Fifth, whatever, next one, follow up is our job, not theirs, right? The ball is always in our court. If we're, waiting for them to touch base and check back in, assume that you're going to need to do it, right? They're going to forget. And then last, plan for at least 1 to 8 touches per month per client. Someone that's really hot, they're ready to go, they're going out and touring homes all the time, it's probably going to be 1 to 8 touches a week. But everyone should be getting at least 1 to 8 touches per month, even if that's from your Real Scout account, market updates that you're sending out, your newsletter that you're sending out. a phone call, a text message that you're saying, hey, happy St. Patrick's Day or whatever. They should be getting some touches from you at a bare minimum once a month. Okay, second tip, when you are doing follow-up, if you've got someone who they're not buying immediately, but you're kind of working them through the process, or maybe you didn't book an appointment with them and you're just kind of trying to nurture them along. When you make a follow-up, when you make a phone call, when you send a text message, when you have an email, when you do a video text, make sure and have a goal. It's okay if you don't necessarily achieve that one goal or you achieve other goals on the phone, but it helps to sit down and think, all right, I'm going to call this list of people to do this thing. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. So it could be something as simple as just adding value. Hey, interest rates just went down. I'm going to go and call through all my clients from the last month and let them know about the interest rate changes. Not necessarily book an appointment, just, hey, just checking in, and also wanted to let you know interest rates have dropped. Have you heard? Yep. Just giving you an update. Cool. How's everything? How's the family? Awesome. All right. We'll talk to you later. That's it. You could also be there to build rapport and relationship. If they told you that they were going to go on vacation to Hawaii for 3 weeks, give them a call back afterwards or just shoot them a text. Hey, how was Hawaii? That's it, right? Text back and forth about it, send pictures of your dogs, done, right? Build relationship and rapport. That is a very legitimate goal. Third, probably what most of us try to focus on the most is booking an appointment. Could be a showing to go out and see more homes. Could also be a buyer's consultation. Could be a listing appointment. Could also be a meeting with a lender. But having in mind, like, okay, I really want to book an appointment with this person. I think this person needs a buyer's consultation. So I'm going to think about how do I position that as the valuable next step for them? All right, let's go in, let's book a buyer's consultation. And as long as you have that goal in mind, it'll make it easier to accomplish it. Or even just establishing a next step, right? Calling someone, saying, hey, last time we talked back in the summer, you said you were thinking about buying in 2023. How's that plan looking like for you? Okay, cool. Like you're thinking about buying in summer. How about if I call you back in 2 months? Perfect. We got a next step. Or I'm going to send you some properties or an appointment time or whatever, but setting up a next step for your clients. Again, having that goal doesn't necessarily have to be a booked appointment, but even just them knowing when they're going to hear from you next is valuable. All right. This is a very important philosophical point that I think is critical to keep in mind as you're going through doing your follow-up long-term with clients. That is, if you're going fishing, bring bait. The thing that is going to be least valuable for you and your clients is the, hey, just calling to check in. Hey, how's the home search? Right? That's not bringing any real value to them. And that is putting the burden of the conversation on them. They're now like, oh man, Dan's just calling to check in again. Like, I don't feel like chatting. I don't want to just like give him another update. Yeah, we're still waiting, whatever. Have some sort of hook that you're presenting to them so that you can get a conversation engaged and ultimately get to your goal. So some examples of that, tons of different examples, but just to name a few, you could send them a text message. Hey, this property just came up today. What do you think? I just toured this home with another client and thought of you. One thing that I like doing too is going out and actually taking video tours of property, especially if I got some downtime in a day. Go out, do a video tour, send an email to a client, be like, hey, I was actually just out at this property with another client. They didn't like it or wasn't a good fit for them, but I took a video because it made me think of you. Here you go. Boom, video tour. Super valuable. People love that. Finding a specific home to call about. This is one of my favorite ones for kind of general prospecting, right? If you've got 10 buyers who are all looking in the same city in approximately the same home, which is, happens, especially if you're focusing in on a neighborhood, find a really cool or interesting home and just give them a call. Hey, I actually just saw this property 123 Main Street and was thinking of you. Wanted to run it by you. Boom, boom, boom. Here's the details. No, that's not a good fit. Okay. How's your time frame looking? You guys still thinking about buying in the summertime? Whatever, and get on to the rest of the conversation. And then put that on repeat and do that with the same house for 10 clients and just recycle that. So you don't got to think about it. It's just, oh, here's a really cool property I'm going to pitch to people. Most people aren't going to be interested in that specific property, but that's your hook to get the conversation going. And then people will know when you're calling, oh, Dan's calling. He's probably got a house to pitch me. Cool. What do you got, Dan? Oh, okay, not this one, but maybe the next one. And they'll answer your call because you're bringing value. Give them an update on their neighborhood. If you got a seller, one of my favorite things to do is to just watch the neighborhood. Anytime a home goes pending or recently sells, just give them a call. Hey, did you see, 123 Maple Street down the road just sold or just went under contract? I actually talked to the selling agent. Would you believe they got $100,000 above asking price for it? Yeah, I know, that's crazy. Market update, inform them of price reductions, find the latest information on interest rate news. Whenever the rates move around these days, I got like 8 clients that I text regularly about it because they're super interested in that stuff. Just be like, hey, interest rates just went down 0.1% today. And they're like, oh, thumbs up emojis. Even those little things are touch points, and that's what you're trying to do. Assistance programs for loans, articles on the market or local news or whatever. But the important thing is that you're thinking about what is something that's going to bring them value to nurture that relationship forward. And then ultimately earning the right to book an appointment to book that next step. But even if you're not in a spot, they're like, oh, we're buying at the end of summer when kids are out of school. Cool. You're going to do these things for the next 5 months until they get there. So that by the time summer comes, it's like, oh, yeah, obviously I'm going to work with Annie. She's been super helpful for the last 5 months. Like I wouldn't even think of working with someone else because she's been keeping me up to date. She's been giving me information, all this super valuable stuff. What website do I use to get the most accurate interest rate? I like Mortgage News Daily, mortgagenewsdaily.com. They got really good articles. They got interest rates. They got tons of great graphs and charts and stuff, which I love. And then I'm also on the newsletters for like 5 different lenders, and they usually send rate updates too. But Mortgage News Daily is a really conservative estimate of the current 30-year mortgage, 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Cool. All right. I'm going to go through actually, we're at 10:30. We're at time. So I've got just like a couple questions that I can go through in a minute or so here, but otherwise, that's all the content that I got for everyone. I really do hope though that you can take some of these tips and tricks and strategies and apply them and start using them as you're going out and running appointments. I promise if you apply all of these things, it's going to drive your closing rate from lead to appointment to contracts to closing way, way up. It's really going to substantially help. Anyone got any questions before we jump off here?
I want to know, are your scripts?
What are my scripts?
Yes.
I don't
Or
have a document of them.
or you can send me the Otter AI meeting for today. That would be great.
Oh yeah. Oh, the scripts that I went through today. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
send the Otter AI, and then this presentation will be posted in the Opsity Ojo Slack channel too.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone have any other questions you want to go through? No? Cool. I actually just realized I have an appointment in a few minutes and I have to jump off, so I won't have time to go through the extra. Actually, I'll give you these resources. That's it. I'll end on that. Additional resources for you. Use Fast Class, the Rise training. If you were at the Tuesday Opsity Ojo meeting, you know how valuable of a tool the Rise training is. I just posted a link to that in the Slack channel, the Opsity Ojo Slack channel. Check that out. There's like 15 classes a week on tons of valuable content, especially focused on Opsity. Use each other, role play, practice. There's the script role play sessions that the team puts on. There's the level up sessions on Wednesday. Opsity has a training platform as well that's got a ton of useful stuff. Just search Opsity training at realtor.com agent training. Elias does group coaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or me. Shoot me a message on Slack. I also got a bunch of resources in the Slack Opsity Ojo channel. But with that, that's all I got for everyone. Thank you very much. I'll stick around for a minute or two if you got questions. See you later, Lyle.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
Yep, thank you all.
See you next time.